Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sophia Wardell, and today we have a very special guest, poet and romance author, Deidrea Dewitt. Deidrea Dewitt is the author of the Choose the Ending series, a novel series that gives the reader the option to choose how the story ends. Deidrea is an indie author and an English teacher with a background in digital media and video game design, and she is currently working on her master's in philosophy and theology. Thanks for joining us today, Deidrea.
Oh, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And today I want to discuss ESL, English as a Second Language, for those who don't know, writing. So, Deidre, tell me, would you encourage an author to write a book in a language that is not their first language?
Well, I would say it depends on why you want to write that book in a second language. So I know a lot of students of mine practice like blog posts and short stories in English because it helps them kind of make their English better. And I would say that's completely fine. But if you want to write an entire novel in
Mm,
English or in a second language, instead of using a translator, I would kind of advise to think about why you would like to do that. So if you prefer to read in that language and you're more familiar with that media style,
mm.
absolutely go ahead and write in that language. That makes more sense. But if you're not really familiar with that style, you just kind of want to have a more global audience, I would more or less recommend getting an editor or a translator to take care of that for you instead of giving yourself that kind of headache.
Right, exactly. And what advice would you offer to someone like me who wants to reach a more diverse audience like this?
I would say it's a great way to reach a diverse audience, but you still need to put your target audience first. And so for me, my target audience is basically people who like automate games, which is very niche. But that audience will take precedence over whatever language they speak, because the common thread is, what are these people interested in? What is your audience like to see in their media? And so you'll want to put that first, no matter what language you're writing in.
Right. And what are the best strategies, in your opinion, for helping ESL writers convey emotion and nuance in their work?
Well, the good news is that emotion is the same throughout all of humanity, regardless of whatever culture you're in. And so if you portray your emotions authentically, that will come across the page no matter what culture is reading your books. And so you don't really have to worry too much about portraying emotions, because that should be just naturally something that comes to you and goes to the audience. But as for like linguistic nuance, that's something you'll just want an editor for, or someone who is a native speaker. And it's not something you should really stress too much about, to be honest. It's just better to get feedback and to have kind of a team work around with you, regardless of what language you're writing in. And that should help you with the emotion and nuance and getting that to your audience authentically and correctly.
Interesting. And are there any linguistic editors that you could recommend or a certain company?
Oh, I don't know any off the top of my head, because I actually use different editors depending on my projects. And so I just kind of find the editor that is most useful or most affordable, to be honest, for that particular project.
Right.
And then for example, though, I wrote one book that takes place in historical Korea. And I live in Korea, that's where I live now, and I've been here for about 7 years. And so I would talk with my students and I would get their feedback on certain elements in the story. And that helped out the most, to be honest.
Very interesting. And lastly, Deidre, I want to ask you how an author can balance philosophical themes and clear, accessible language in a less familiar language.
I would recommend not getting too caught up in philosophical themes. If you focus too much on the theme of your story, you actually start to lose your plot and characters in the
Mm,
process. And so the best thing to do is to give your character, or make your character, a representation of that philosophical worldview,
mm,
and then have them play it out. So the philosophical worldview should come from their actions and their speech and how they interact with the world. And if you do it that way, it simplifies the philosophical theme in a way that the audience can process and understand, even if they don't understand the philosophical debate or the background of this philosophical view. They can understand the characters, and that will make it more accessible to them, regardless of the language.
Well, Deidrea, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on ESL writing.
You're welcome, anytime.
Lastly, where can our listeners find and connect with you?
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram and YouTube. My handle is Deidrea Dewitt, just my name. So go ahead and just type that in and I will pop up, and I will talk to you if you DM me. So go ahead and send me messages if you'd like.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's interview with romance author and poet Deidrea Dewitt. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.